Raiders, Rams. Who are you afraid of back there? Eli? Is he going to come after you?
All of them. Yeah, come on now.
That's true. That's true.
They're sitting in that room listening to us for 2.5 hours. They're probably
I'd also be angry.
They go nuts every Monday. I'm sure. And then Eli's got to deal with Max and me on the other 2 days.
That is tough.
It's only week 8, week 7.
That'll
week
do
8
things to
yeah,
him, man.
That'll do it. Yeah.
Raiders, Rams. Rams win this game 20-15. Let's take a look at the Rams' top 5 graded players here for this one. Cobie Durant, 94.6 grade. Wow. Safety Quentin Lake with a 80.9. 94.6 is going to be one of the highest cornerback grades we have from a single game this entire season. Cornerback Akilla Witherspoon with a 74.0. Safety Cam Curl with a 73.6. And then Bo Limmer, their center, to round it out at number 5 with a 73.3. Matthew Stafford, not his best day, 48.9. And then on the other side of things, the Vegas Raiders, linebacker Robert Spillane's having a great season. Another great game for him, 87.6 overall grade. Jordan Meredith, their guard, 85.1. Tight end Brock Bowers continues to be a stud for this team with an 85.0 overall grade. Max Crosby, surprise, surprise, is on this list at an 80.4 at number 4 overall. And then number 5, Nate Hobbs, is 79.5. Gardner Minshew, oh boy, 27.8 passing grade in this one. Sad that told the story. What do we got?
So it's gonna be kind of weird here because it's really gonna end up being that I kind of have 2 most impressive players. But the stat that tells a story for me is you mentioned Cobie Durant there with that 94.7 grade, and that really came in one avalanche sequence in the second quarter. This is one of the greatest quarters you will ever see one player have. Okay, first of all, early in the quarter, the Raiders have the ball down in the red zone. Gets a pass break up on a slant that holds them to a field goal, right? So it's 3-0 Raiders. All right, you go down, you get down in the red zone, but you hold them to 3, kind of a win for the defense. Cool. Then, later in the quarter, gets an interception as Gardner Minshew's rolling to his left because Aiden O'Connell got hurt in this game and Minshew was in there. Minshew rolls to his left, throws a pick, trying to get a ball to Brock Bowers. Durant dives and picks it off. That leads to a Rams touchdown. Then, he comes off, next drive, he comes off the right side as a blitzer, strips Gardner Minshew of the ball, gets the strip sack. Cam Curl picks it up, runs it in for a touchdown. Cobie Durant was directly responsible for the score late in the second quarter, being 14-3, and that was pretty much the game from there. He just had, honestly, one of the wildest quarters of football you will see a cornerback play, and that was it. And from there, it was kind of casual. The Raiders' offense is a mess, and they couldn't come back. The Rams just kind of held on despite all of their injuries. But that sequence from Cobie Durant basically single-handedly won him this game.
No, it's a great shout-out, and obviously him getting a 94.6 grade. I don't think we'll see a cornerback with a grade higher all season long. That's just insanely high. So takeover guy, and you mentioned 14-3 being the score. To be able to say that cornerback was able to be a catalyst for that,
an interception and a strip sack, doing a little bit of everything.
It's true. Stat that told the story for me, Raiders quarterback play. It's bad. It's horrendous. It's awful. They can't win football games. They're not going to win football games. This is a team that is destined for a top 5 overall pick, if not a top 3 overall pick, because they simply do not have a quarterback that can play at the NFL level consistently.
Well, it seems like Mark Davis was already having conversations with the next one.
Oh, Tom Brady?
With Shador. Oh, well, it could have been Tom Brady, too. Maybe he brings Tom Brady
right.
down.
No,
bring Tom Brady down to mentor Shador.
I don't know if either of these guys are going to be on the team next year. Aiden might be because he's on a rookie contract, so maybe you just don't get rid of him but Minshew, 29.1 passing grade versus the Rams, 3 interceptions, 3 turnover-worthy plays, including a fumble. Aiden O'Connell now broken thumb, so he's going to be out. I think it's like 6 to 8 weeks or something like that, so it's going to be a lot more Minshew in this one, and this team just is not good enough to win with Minshew at quarterback, I don't think. It's just the floor is so low for this team, unfortunately. And, we got the chat talking about Antonio Pierce. I do feel bad for Antonio Pierce.
What is he supposed to do?
Because it is one of those things where it's like, I kind of think he gets fired at the end of the year. And I don't. There's so many reasons to think that it's not entirely his fault.
Is the idea just to get an offensive coach to go with a new quarterback?
The idea is to get something different, completely different. Because he was great as an interim when he was able to come in and obviously give the team a spark because Josh McDaniels was not giving them that at all. So you move on from him and you get a guy that players absolutely love. They're able to come together a little bit, and the year ends and you go, like, okay, well, we love playing for this guy. And I think that I don't know. It feels like it was now just an emotional decision to hire him. But again, like I go back to what more is he supposed to do? You gave him bottom of the barrel quarterbacks to try to win football games in this league. In a really competitive division, in a really competitive conference.
It looks like the Falcons from last year.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like the Jets. Right? I mean, defense isn't as good, but
I mean, this year they have a quarterback.
They don't. No. I'm talking about last year.
Oh, yeah.
They had no quarterback options. So you almost and that's why Robert Saleh came into the year still as the head coach, because you go, what more was he supposed to do? And unfortunately, I look at Antonio Pierce's situation, and I feel like he's going to be a scapegoat for it, because whoever you're bringing in next to quarterback, it looks like it's going to be a drafted guy. You're gonna want to pair him with an offensive guy.
Yeah.
You're not, and I mean, so.
And the one thing,
you can get fired.
The one thing they do have working on offense right now is Brock Bowers. I'll tell you, whoever the next offensive coach, if there's an offensive coach coming in, or whoever it may be, whatever happens with the offense, whoever is coaching them is sure glad they have Brock Bowers, because in this game, another 10 catches for 93 yards, 6 of them for first downs, 86.6 receiving grade. He is the highest graded tight end in football right now. The rookie, Brock Bowers, by a pretty decent margin over, I believe, George Kittle's the next one right after him. He is as good as advertised. He was, Max Chadwick called him the greatest college tight end ever, and he's off to a flying start in his career despite this situation. Their offense right now is basically just Brock Bowers trying to get first downs, and he's doing a hell of a job of it. For him to walk in there, and rookie tight ends very often have a big transition period. There's just been none for him. He's just terrific. He's already one of, if he's not number one like the grading says he is, he's already one of the 5 best tight ends in football.
My most impressive in this one's Kyren Williams. Was able to sort of extend some NFL streaks this past week. 9 touchdowns in at least 9 touchdowns in 9 consecutive games. That's one shy of the NFL record held by Greg Bell for 10 games with a consecutive rushing touchdown. He also passed Eric Dickerson for the most touchdowns in Rams history for a player in his first 17 starts. So just an incredible job by Kyren Williams. It seems as though throughout all of the injuries, started to the passing game, and the passing game being up and down, the offensive line included, Kyren Williams has been there for him. Finishes this game with 76 yards on 21 carries, 2 more touchdowns this week. So Kyren's steady presence, I think, for this team has just meant so much, and I feel like it's an underrated part of why the Rams are sort of still in this and still alive, and why you still believe them. My most disappointing here in this game, outside of the Raiders, which we already talked about, it's just disappointing throughout the season, but it is those Rams' early injuries. Because what is this season for the Rams if the offensive line doesn't get decimated and if Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp don't get hurt? A completely different season for the Rams.
That's a lot of talent on the sidelines.
And a lot of those guys are getting healthy, and this team's going to be a force toward the second half of the season. They're going to have their sights on a playoff run, and at the very least, they're going to play spoiler for a couple of teams that are trying to get into the playoffs. So it's just a bummer that they've had to go through these early injuries, because I think the team's totally different, and they're probably a playoff team, probably a much higher percentage of them being a playoff team if that stuff doesn't happen. Most disappointing for you before we move on.
To be honest, it sounds kind of bad, but just everything about the Raiders offense except for Brock Bowers. It's just, like you mentioned, there's nothing there. You trade Devontae Adams. Jacoby Myers has been hurt. You don't have much of a run game. You don't have a quarterback. There's just not. This is an offense that needs to be rebuilt outside of the tight end position.
Yep, I agree with you.